on the release from the jail. And let me tell you why that's important. I know people are a lot concerned about the manpower has been set in law enforcement manpower. Look, I've said this many times before. I've said it for the last several years. Give us access to the illegal alien public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail. It's common sense. It's safer for the community, it's safer for the agent, and it's safer for the alien.
Wait, did you catch the look on his face? Tom Homan isn't playing around. He just laid out exactly why giving ICE access to jails is common sense, and the implications are massive for public safety. You need to see this.
And he has clarified for me that county jails may notify ICE of the release dates of criminal public safety risks so ICE can take custody of them upon the release from the jail. And let me tell you why that's important. I know people are a lot concerned about the manpower has been set in law enforcement manpower. Look, I've said this many times before. I've said it for the last several years.
Look at the intensity here. Homan is essentially calling out the local authorities for what he sees as a massive oversight. He's pointing out that county jails may notify ICE, but they often don't, which creates this catch and release cycle for high-risk individuals. Did you notice how he emphasizes criminal public safety risk? He's not talking about everyone. He's talking about the ones who are actually dangerous. It's a direct challenge to the sanctuary city policies we've been seeing. He's basically saying, if you want the community to be safe, you have to let us do our jobs where it's safest, inside the jail, not on the street. It's a huge shift in tone from what we usually hear from federal officials. You can tell he's been waiting to say this for a long time. The way he adjusts his glasses and looks down, that's the look of someone who has the data to back up a very controversial take.
I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March, if the rhetoric didn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. Not officers, not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations. For the people out there that don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress. Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for. I started with President Reagan and ending with President Trump. Every administration, we enforce the same laws. If you don't like what ICE is doing, instead of protesting this building, go protest Congress. Tell me what changes.
This is heavy. When he talks about begging for the rhetoric to stop because it leads to bloodshed, he's not just talking politics. He's talking about real lives on the line, both officers and members of the community. It's rare to see a federal official get this personal. And did you catch that part about the last 6 presidents? He's pointing out that these laws aren't new. They've been enforced the same way since the Reagan era. He's effectively stripping away the idea that this is some new radical agenda and framing it as standard law enforcement that's been politicized. It's a masterclass in reframing the argument. He's literally telling protesters to take it up with Congress if they don't like the law, because ICE doesn't make the laws, they just enforce them. The silence in the room after he says, "I wish I wasn't right," speaks volumes.
And this is common of regulatory agencies, tend to fall behind and not be able to keep up with the times.
I agree. We talked
the
about
microbiome is the biggest frontier of medicine that we are not talking about, that we need to talk about. We know things mess up the microbiome and directly result in diseases. One of the biggest studies in modern medicine that has been ignored, and I think one of the most important studies, has been a recent study out of the Mayo Clinic that looked at kids who got antibiotics in the first 2 years of life and then tracked them as to what diseases they developed later. Now, why would antibiotics potentially cause disease? Well, the theory is that we know antibiotics alter the microbiome. It's almost like carpet bombing parts of the microbiome.
Yeah.
And you get bacterial overgrowth. We don't know what to do with it. We know overgrowth is associated with inflammation. And so I just wrote down some of these study results. The kids that got antibiotics in the first 2 years of life, 20% higher rate of obesity, 21% higher rate of learning disabilities, 32% higher risk of developing attention deficit disorder, 90% higher rate of asthma.
Okay, shifting gears to something that affects every single one of us. Dr. Marty Makary is dropping some serious knowledge about the microbiome. He calls it the biggest frontier of medicine that we are not talking about. Think about that. We focus so much on symptoms, but he's looking at the foundation of our health. Did you catch his point about antibiotics? He's not saying they're bad, but he's warning that they can carpet bomb the good bacteria we actually need. It's a direct link to how we're seeing a massive rise in chronic diseases. It's fascinating and a bit scary to think that what we did to our guts in our first 2 years of life could be dictating our health decades later. He's essentially saying our current medical system is lagging behind the science of our own bodies.
20% higher rate of obesity, 21% higher rate of learning disabilities, 32% higher risk of developing attention deficit disorder, 90% higher rate of asthma,
90% higher rates of asthma in kids that were given multiple antibiotic dosage.
Any antibiotic exposure in the first 2 years of life. And there was what we call a dose-dependent relationship. The more courses of antibiotics a kid got, the greater the risk of obesity, learning disabilities, ADHD, asthma. Celiac had a 200, nearly 300% higher risk. And if a kid took antibiotics.
Wow.
Crohn's disease, nearly a 300. All these diseases are going up.
Yeah.
These stats are absolutely wild. A 90% higher rate of asthma and a 300% higher risk of celiac or Crohn's just from early antibiotic exposure. This is the kind of data that should be on every front page. Dr. Makary is highlighting a dose-dependent relationship, meaning the more you had, the higher the risk. It really makes you rethink every time you've been prescribed a just-in-case round of meds. The connection between our gut health and these life-altering conditions is becoming impossible to ignore. It's a huge wake-up call for parents and anyone looking to take control of their long-term health. We've been focusing on the wrong things for way too long.
55 million people worldwide are living with Alzheimer's and other dementias. Just like cancer, dementia is caused by diseases, and it doesn't just affect older people. Early onset Alzheimer's can affect people in their 30s and 40s. I got a chance to meet a caregiver in Green Bay who opened my eyes to what really happens to a person after an early onset diagnosis, what they go through, and the profound sacrifices made by a husband to honor his vow of in sickness and in health.
Rhonda Sutherland, a wife, a mother, a local teacher. Rhonda was just 52 when the signs started to surface and officially diagnosed at 56.
She started to repeat herself all the time, started asking the same questions over and over again, wouldn't answer simple questions like what time it is. I mean, as it turns out, she couldn't tell time, that she had lost the capacity to tell time.
Just before their 40th wedding anniversary, Rob knew it was no longer safe for his wife to live at home, so he placed Rhonda into memory care.
Finally, the brain shut down enough where nothing else, where she just forgot how to swallow, forgot how to eat, and I'd like to think, and it seemed at least at the time, peacefully passed away after a long, tough battle with this dreadful disease.
This is the human side of the science we just talked about. Seeing brain scans next to the reality of Rhonda Sutherland's life is heartbreaking. It's a reminder that these amyloid plaques we hear about aren't just medical terms. They represent lost memories and lost lives. Seeing her go from a vibrant teacher and mother to someone who forgot how to swallow is a tough watch, but it's so important. It ties back perfectly to what the experts were saying about gut health and brain function. We are seeing a massive spike in early onset cases, and these stories are the reason why we need to start looking at the root causes, like our microbiome, rather than just waiting for a cure that might be too late. This article is the bridge between the tragedy and the solution. The idea that we can actually transfer symptoms of illness just by transplanting gut bacteria is mind-blowing. It proves that our second brain in our gut is arguably just as important as the one in our head. This scientific breakthrough could literally change how we treat Alzheimer's forever. Instead of just focusing on the brain, we might start focusing on the gut. It's a complete 180 in medical thinking, and it gives so much hope to millions of people. The connection is finally being made clear. What we eat and how we treat our internal ecosystem is our best defense. This was a lot to take in today. From national security to your own internal health, the common thread is looking at the root cause. What was the most shocking part for you? Let me know in the comments.